You are listening to Talking Tunes, and joining us online today is
Shoebill. Hello.
Hey Shoebill, how you doing, mate?
The nerves have suddenly got to me now that we're recording, but I'll be alright, don't worry.
It's okay. Like I said, quite natural.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking a bit about, well, you tell me a bit about what we're talking about.
I wanted to focus this interview on what I grew up on, what influences me, and also it's kind of a showcase of what I wanted to focus on, which is autism and other aspects of it, neurodivergency in general, a bit of gender identity and stuff like that, which is what is really prevalent throughout the scene. It's really prevalent with just nearly everyone I know in the scene, all my friends who I engage with in the scene and so on and so forth.
Cool. So what we've got here, starting off with goreshit, MATZcore.
Yeah, basically this song, I regard this song as kind of my friend in school. I remember listening to this as one of my first early goreshit tracks that I heard, and it captivated me. It has this really great energy to it, because it was originally released on Dokun, which is on a compilation which is known as DQN on 2chan. I believe I'm a bit fishy with stuff like this, but it's very reflective of kind of the otaku online kind of world that happened that period before now. This is like 2010, 2009. Something that I find really, it's very welcoming to me, and I really enjoy that. Leon himself, he's a really, really great guy. He's a really incredible guy. He's often regarded as just an incredible person by anyone who's met him, and his music, he is incredibly neurodivergent himself. He's very open about his schizophrenia and his struggles with it and his other conditions and this, that, and the other. He's just a really incredible guy, great inspiration for people.
Yeah, I mean, we did Talking Tunes with him a couple of weeks back. Absolutely sound geezer. And really knowledgeable on music as well, which was fantastic. So on to Spongebob Squarewave. Spongebob Squarewave, do what you want to do. This is just going to be full on ravecore from the legend that is Titch Off Me Nut.
Yeah, I was very, 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 very fortunate to literally last minute, this was literally within the hour of the rave beginning, I was able to play in Liverpool with Titch. I played after him. I was on stage with him and stuff, and I've got a story with that, a very tragic story where basically I didn't have the cables I needed to connect it to the actual sound system and stuff, and it was this I am a really anxious person. I suffer from anxiety. I'm actually medicated for it. It's that bad, and I can't deal with situations when they get a bit too stressed, but I have to congratulate myself on that completely shutting down. I managed in the end. It was like, have you ever seen the Monty Python sketch where I think it's like someone's got like a issue with like the fridge, and there's like a queue of just hundreds of men that spiral out of the woman's house, all trying to take turns to sort it out. It was like that on stage while SpongeBob Squarewave was playing at the same time, with just 10 people surrounding me being like, well, so what's the problem, what's going on? And I'm like, I need a cable. And eventually this guy called Rick, who worked in the North Shore, the actual venue, he took me into a back room where he was piling through a cable thing, and he gave me the exact cable that I needed. I was hugging him and thinking, oh my god, you've saved my life, you've saved me, and praising him the whole night. I met Titch at Bangface very briefly, and I was like, oh yeah, I love Fly Swatter and shit like that. And he came out of nowhere. It was in the Bangface TV room, and it was during a DJ competition thing that was going on, and Titch just appeared out of nowhere, and he was like, yeah, here's SpongeBob Squarewave to play a set. But when I met him here, like I was having a laugh with him on set. I was even like I was being unintentionally a bit of a comedian on set, where I was on the stage because I put my laptop down on the little stand, and then I was like, oh shit, it's the wrong way, and I turned it around, and people were like laughing and fucking like giving me fist bumps and shit, and I was just having a laugh at Titch. He's a really fucking cool, really cool guy. I love this song, by the way. This bit in particular with the Sean Paul bit.
Well, I don't really care what people say. I don't really watch what them want to do. Still I got to stick to my girls like glue, and I might not play number two. All I know the time is getting dead. Got a lot of trees up in my head. Got a lot of them telling my bed to run that bed. Then I'll flick a girl them out and run and
His music has everything I want in terms of like this really hard, upbeat, ravey music like this with breakcore and stuff, and also just this really happy use of like Sean Paul vocal samples and stuff like that. It's this really upbeat, very summer vibe. I think this was from like Pool Party, so it's got this obviously going away to Southport maybe for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, who knows, why would you go to Southport? But yeah, I love Titch.
And there was an event announced on Facebook today, I don't know if you saw it, something happening in May 2022, something in Southport.
Maybe I'll go to that. Maybe, I don't know.
Whenever I've met Titch, he's always been in Southport for some reason. I don't know if he lives there or what, but yeah, and he always seems like a really nice guy, really quiet, sort of keeps himself to himself as well, like, you know, and yeah, total geezer, and the music he makes, full of energy, full on ravecore vibes, and he's got so many monikers of different aliases that he works on. Guy's just a musical genius, right?
He's a bit hard to contact in terms of Facebook because I think he's got anxiety, and he's not really accustomed to replying too well, but I am trying to get something going on with Offmino and potentially get a release on there. If Offmino are listening right now.
Yeah, he's not an easy one to pin down, Titch, but you know, you have to respect his space, and
yeah, I do.
If he get back to you, like, you know, cool guy. Spectre, you don't know. What's going on here?
So, Drunk Corpse, this is his side alias. I'm not too sure what the distinctions are completely. I'm a bit shit at that. But this was on what is regarded as kind of the first EP to establish Amen Punk, which is the style of breakcore that mixes punk. I remember Hugo, he was kind of talking about genre names and how there's so many genre names for different styles, and it's all just breakcore, which is true. Yeah, this is Amen Punk, a new style. It's not a new style, this came out in like 2006, but this is incredible. My friend Sonny Shimoda, he's a big source. He's how I discover a lot of music, because I'm really shit at discovering things myself, but he showed me this song and it heavily inspired me, and I made a few Amen Punk tracks, and I'm actually working on an Amen Punk EP for a friend's label. I don't know how much more of Amen Punk Aaron has done, but the sound that came from it, like a lot of Japanese artists, there's some like Japanese compilations of Amen Punk. A lot of Japanese artists love doing Amen Punk, like Shimao and stuff like that, and they always incorporate this kind of sound of the like pop punk kind of stuff, and more kind of upbeat punk music like this. Particular sample is Face to Face. It's Banda's Face to Face. The song is Disconnected. It's from 1992. It's a punk song, really old punk song, but it's really great energy to it. And especially with the way that Aaron manipulates it with kind of the amen, and he adds all these other sounds, you know, like the ragga sirens and the bass kicks and stuff like that are quite faint in the background, but it adds a lot to that mix and adds a lot of kind of thump to it and a lot of energy. But yeah, it's a great song. terrible at answering questions, and if I want to answer a question, I just start like stuttering and I can't get the word out. I think that's a testament a lot to my autism, because I especially with like restaurants, when a waiter asks what I want, and then I just shut down and I just go silent, or like I just start panicking, I just sweat, look around, oh shit, kind of thing. It's great.
Awesome.
I love it.
I was going to say about the cable situation, and you're having a bit of stress out about not having the right cable for the gig. I personally find, sometimes actually those sorts of fuck-ups are what help build you a little bit, perhaps. Don't know if you find that. But I find, when you have these and you get over it and you find, actually, we found the cable. It wasn't a problem.
Oh, yeah.
But next time you're not so worried.
It was a great relief. Like, I felt like I like beat a boss in a game or something like that. But
cool. Where are we now? J-Core Slicer, the unhealthy dance floor addiction.
Dancecore addiction.
Dancecore addiction, there you go.
This is Dancecore, this is a genre.
My ability to read off a page is being shown up.
This was released on my label. This was the Fabicon Volume 2, This is Dancecore compilation, where I'm still yet to send out all the CDs, which I've been really struggling with because of mental health and other family issues and personal issues and so on and so forth. Pretty broke right now as well. It's fine. I've got the Fabicon budget. I've got like a separate PayPal to keep all the money separate. I'm not spending all of it.
So you're doing physical releases?
I do them rarely because I have very little room in this room. This room is actually a fucking tip, a complete fucking bin of a room, and I have no room at all. I'm just quite unkempt. I don't really look after myself too well, but I'm learning through doing this label the best logistical kind of things through learning the hard way. Like I got cassettes and they didn't really sell well, so I thought, okay, well now I need to be selective of who I release physicals with. With this CD, I've learned, don't order 100 CDs and expect yourself to be able to ship them all out nicely. I now know from now on, like with CDs, I'm gonna just release like 10 editions. If they sell well, I'll release more, kind of thing. Do it like that, which I think other labels do anyway. J-Core Slicer they suffer from ADHD. I believe they have autism as well. I'm not too sure, but they have explained to me about kind of how, like, the other music they do outside of this is a kind of one-off dancecore. They do a lot of other kind of dancecore stuff, but they mainly also do Reizoko CJ inspired Reizoko stuff, which is very much like where they will directly sample from Reizoko CJ and stuff like that. But that music, that style of really hyper fast music, it does, like what they say, it reflects kind of how the addiction is, and it kind of helps nullify it in a way, I suppose. Yeah, that's what I want to say about J-Core Slicer.
I would sometimes say jokingly, I have musical ADHD because my attention span is extremely short. I love breakcore. I love it when it's like fast changes. I love tunes that are like 1 minute, 30 seconds long. That's where I'm at. And like I say jokingly, it's ADHD, but obviously it isn't, is it? It's just a short attention span, and I wish for full-on music.
It's like what that Reizoko CJ mix, Cure for ADHD, was implying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people out there who genuinely have ADHD, diagnosed, feel people are taking the piss when they're saying that.
Yeah, I feel like I probably have ADHD, or ADD at the very least. I've had someone with ADHD kind of explain how I feel. They think I might have the condition and stuff. I feel like I need to get that tested, but yeah.
So you've gone for some local homegrown music here with MC Finchy. This is sounding very Scouse housey.
Oh yeah, so quite a derail from kind of everything else I was going for. This is Blue Sky Day. I remember my brother was a DJ when he was younger, when he was a kid. He was part of a youth program that was to try and get kind of ASBO kids off the streets and doing something creative to express themselves and stuff like that. At this time where I'm from, it was apparently on a kind of like people getting randomly searched kind of thing, like it was at a high level kind of thing and all that. My brother, I remember he was explaining to me, he suffered from like, when he was young, he was suffering from kind of like psychosis, stuff like that. It impacted kind of, and even to this day, like he has kind of certain issues with himself, with his mental issues and stuff like that, which he manages. He's got a very, very loving family right now. He's a really great guy, very responsible person and stuff like that. He's really great, loving guy, and I love him. He used to play this type of music all the time on his Windows Vista computer while playing Habbo or RuneScape, Habbo Hotel and stuff like that. I loved this music, and it was what I kind of attest to being what introduced me to what is regarded as like hardcore, very upbeat, Blue Sky Day. It's a blue sky day, it's lovely, and that has affected how I approach music, and it's what's influenced me to approach my music the way it has now, with trying to replicate that kind of upbeat sound, which people kind of, you know, attest to what my sound is and stuff like that. It's very interesting with that kind of MC stuff as well. There's kind of parallels, I think, because this is very bootleggy stuff in itself. MC Finchy didn't make this song. He's MCing over it, but he didn't make this song. It was Wigan Pier who did Blue Sky Day and did this backing track. But he's just slapped his name on it because he MC'd over it, which is kind of very a testament to kind of how breakcore is in terms of the sample usage. And even with the vocals, the MC vocals, they're really, I regard it as almost like a verbal breakcore in how intricate. It's like an amen in itself of how intricate and how fast it is and really like blistering, and it's quite mesmerizing, the kind of sounds that these people can make with the mouths. There's like people like MC Gettin Old from like the kind of Geordie area of the UK, where like he did stuff like this, and it's really incredible because like you listen to the lyrics, you read the lyrics, and the stuff about like drug abuse and like trying to overcome it and stuff like that. It's like stuff about like personal issues, which is really interesting. And like this how much this music was kind of affected my brother, and how it gave him that ability to express himself kind of the same way this music's helped me express myself.
Absolutely, sounds great. Because that's the thing with music, right? Music is very much a thing of mood and spirit, and you know, lifts you up. And as you say, blue sky days with music. $18.50, 3, 2, 1, go. Foxdye. I mean, you were talking about people being influenced by Reizoko CJ, but when I spoke to Reizoko CJ a few years back, when he was still active in the breakcore game, he was telling me that he was influenced by Foxdye. So there we go. We're bringing it right back to the source.
Well, Foxdye obviously predates Reizoko. I remember stuff like way back.
He said he was influenced by her.
They're very influential to me as well, actually, with Foxdye. Like my style now, like I've been evolving a lot with my sound, and like I get bored of certain sounds and I experiment with other sounds and mix them together and stuff. A particular period of my music discovery was the kind of chop up, cut up kind of style that I started doing, which was directly inspired by both Foxdye and also Divtech, which is it was actually in the last one in the playlist. I love that sound. I love that. I like when I discovered how easy it is to kind of like create different rhythms and creating glitchiness through just manipulating the samples very simply by just cutting and rearranging and like choking the samples so it's more gated and stuff like that. I just love that sound. a lot, and I never realized how much I loved it until I started kind of doing it myself and listen more to, obviously, to like Foxdye and really taking in what is like Reizoko CJ is doing and stuff like that. I'm not at the level of Reizoko CJ where I'm like mixing like multiple songs in one kind of thing. Like I'm still, I think eventually I'll try and move on. I used to try and do stuff like that, and it is quite a, some people are say it's very easy, like J-Core Slice from before, like they told me how kind of like once you know how to do it is easy, which I do like agree. Like things I can do now I didn't really think were easy at one point, but now they are kind of second nature. Foxdye is just very incredible with their sound, with how complex the sound is, very full it is. So I feel like I don't make my stuff as full as they should be. I often just rely on like, you know, very minimal, just, I'll just get the sample and the amen and some bass and that'll do. But I don't, the thing with like when you listen to people like Foxdye, where like how complex the sound is, where they automate all different aspects, reverb, and add all these little sounds in the background that you wouldn't really, you don't fully pay attention to, but you know are there and stuff like that. It's like just really genuine art, in my opinion.
100% agree with you. There's that complexity, and what I love is the bits. I mean, Reizoko, I think, was a genius for doing it, and we'll talk about him later on, where you might get like a 3-second piece of music and you can tell it's like 200 samples or whatever, and it's just like, it must have taken you a month to make that one piece. Fuck yeah. And does anybody appreciate it? That's the pain.
It's quite weird though, because when I say that, it must have took like a year, and they're like, no, I did it in the afternoon when I was bored. And I was like, oh, okay, great.
That's about the time she walked away from me. 23 TV shows. What's my age again? What's my age again?
So how do you make music? That's quite a straightforward question. How do you make music?
Very simply, I just use FL Studio and kind of what's there. A lot of I do use quite a lot of third-party like effects and stuff like that, but everything is always just within FL Studio. Occasionally I've done some occasional like in the last track I released on SoundCloud, I used Isotope RX to just make the vocals more clearer, because it wasn't really coming out clearer when I manipulated it in the song I was using. But it's all in FL. I'm not someone who messes with like physical hardware other than for live shows. I've got a MIDI fighter and like this cheap Akai with a bunch of knobs on it, and that's all I need to play lives, to play off the actual DJ. It's mainly like logistically speaking, like I can't fit, I've nowhere to put this hardware that I would get. You know, I'm a little goreshit who has like a room dedicated to all of his synthesizers and stuff like that. Really, everything I need is just software. Like, I feel like there's probably pressure that some people feel that I need to get this hardware, otherwise I'm not making it properly. But it's like, you can make anything just on a computer. And it's like, I don't listen to like idiots on like really angry Facebook posts who like moan about, you need to make breakcore on like a modular synth, or it's not breakcore kind of thing. Like I find that stuff very frustrating. Real quick, this song Renard, Gettin Old, that's playing right now. Oh, that's just ended actually. That was the first breakcore song I heard, and I heard it on a BronyCon video when I was 13. I was a Brony, if you don't know, is a fan of My Little Pony. It was often distributed to like male fans who were older, but I was 13. Again, like I'm a very autistic person in terms of like getting into these things like My Little Pony and furry stuff, and just kind of flip-flop between stuff like that. I found Renard through a video of BronyCon where it was My Little Pony characters just superimposed on footage of different people in the community who were big, and it's how I ended up getting all of this that I have now, and this is why I'm sitting here right now speaking to you, is because I was a Brony when I was 13. But yeah.
When you spoke to me originally, you were saying you had the idea of having the talking tune session and talking about things that are probably quite different to the sort of thing I would be exposed to. Obviously, I'd probably class myself as a different generation to you. I thought you'd give me an insight into different things that I wasn't aware of. Certainly the neurodiversity thing I was interested in. I see the solid sound, the talking tunes as a platform for other people to, give us music and give us some insight. What I'm always looking for is things that are different, right? So, yeah, Brony, never heard of that before. I guess it was something to do with, I had a guess that it was something to do with My Little Pony. And furries as well. That's the thing. I'm completely like, oh, what a furry's like, Not my thing.
They're very great people.
Oh, absolutely.
Dev is a very, very lovely, very sweet friend of mine. We did a collab together, cute and wonderful. What's notable about Dev is their emotional sound in breakcore. Did that with the collab that we did. I sampled Sigaros, the Icelandic band, and they're known for their emotional sound. Dev is autistic, and they have issues with their gender identity. They're quite almost nearly everyone I'm friends with who is neurodivergent in different ways. They will go through things like gender dysphoria, gender identity issues, and stuff like that, of just not really knowing who you are, which is a kind of problem that a lot of autistic people have in general, is kind of not really knowing who they are and what they are, and almost feeling isolated. A big problem I've had is kind of this really encroaching feeling like I am alone as being autistic in the way that I am, because there's a great isolation that you feel when you're autistic from other people, when it feels like you just really can't relate to people, not in so much like a psychopathic kind of way, but just you can't really seem to fit in and feel like you're really there with them and you're meant to be there with them. It feels like you're kind of this branch off of this overall kind of social circle or whatever, and I've always felt like that no matter who I'm with. But until recently, meeting my new partner and that, I felt this more of a sense of belonging with people, and it's kind of it's a testament to how really autistic people just need more autistic people in their lives to feel like they're more understood, because it's definitely what helps me, and I feel like I want to try and give that. And somehow, I haven't talked with people very kind of open, very whatever talks about possibly doing a social gathering for autistic people and stuff like that, and give people that kind of space, because it's an incredibly isolating condition, really. You can sugarcoat it, but it is incredibly isolating, and it can really affect the people who have autism and kind of how they go on and express themselves, and how that can create kind of social barriers between them and the rest and other people, from anger and resentment that can kind of come from not feeling belonging to anyone, unfortunately, which is something that I've been through personally.
Yeah, it's a tough subject, isn't it? Commend you for bringing it up and talking about it, because I think the more people talk about it and the more we spread awareness, or more people become aware of these situations. Certainly for people like myself, quite middle of the road, middle-aged person, it's good to take the time and to think of others and to think about our interactions with others and things like that. That it's very easy to think of things as one-sided, rather than thinking about what it's like for other people on the other side of any interaction, not just autistic people, but all sorts of people out there. And and the diversity of everybody's backgrounds, that's where all the joy and magic happens. It's where new ideas come from, and life's rich tapestry, which sounds a bit cliche, but you probably get where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I think I wanted to mention it with at the Squarewave bit, but in terms of how accommodating this, the general rave scene is, from what I've experienced in Liverpool, especially the rave scene in Liverpool is generally just incredible, because it's just, when you go to these raves, everyone is so kind. Like, even if you bump into someone, they kind of like give you a fist bump. Ah, you're right, mate. Ah, yeah. And, you know, it's this really great environment. And my experience when, like, I speak to people, and I will always bring up, like, by the way, I might not be able to talk to you as well because I have autism. That's always been met with just this overwhelming support by people at raves. And they will give you just a lot of love and a lot of support from that, and will kind of give you security that, like, you know, they understand and that they are accommodating you, kind of thing. And it's really great. And I really appreciate especially my local scene for that.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Beck, Contact, almost talks all the way through it.
Yeah, it's there's not too much to say. I love IDM. I love this sound of IDM. This kind of what you would attribute people like Aphex Twin, Square Pusher. This is a very more solemn, very lovely kind of. It's got this like granular modulated, which is what you kind of expect a lot from IDM, and it's got a very kind of digital, rigid rhythm to it. And it's this idea. It's like this idea of the computer. There's certain bits in it where, like, especially you could hear like this piano that gets like cut up and like reversed and stuff like that, and it's this showcase of how imperfect computers are. I wrote that in the notes while I was high, just so you know. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say about that song now.
And out of something quite mellow and easygoing into something a bit rough and tough.
RUMBLERAGGA.
Something rough and tough, dangerous, right? RUMBLERAGGA, yeah, man.
RUMBLERAGGA is a very, very fun, wild producer with their music, and also, like, I gotta give them props for them as a person. They are a very inspiring person. They themselves are very neurodivergent. They have autism and schizophrenia as well, which they suffer quite badly with. They have always, throughout kind of like my time of knowing them and seeing how much the condition can affect them, like, they will always bounce back from it, and they will always come back with music and their vibes, as it were. They're just really inspiring person with how very headstrong they are, with how proud they are of who they are, being neurodivergent, being trans and non-binary, being Jewish and stuff like that. Like, all these different kind of aspects of themselves that they take, and they take pride in it, and they make sure to show that pride, which is really inspiring to me, especially as well. They've gone through like a lot of really horrible shit through people and just in general, just what they've been through, but they are like, they always come back, and they always are very kind of secure in themselves and very just indestructible, in my opinion.
And total and complete and utter percussive dominance.
So I was actually asking people in the Fabicon server, I wanted a roll call, like, yo, tell me if you're autistic, I'll play. This is one of the selections that Ragga gave me. I want to let people kind of like, you know, if they have a specific song they wanted to play, then they can play that.
Was that on Discord?
Yeah, it was on the Fabicon Discord server. It's a closed server. I've had people ask, like, yo, can I join the server? And I'm like, I don't really know you. I'm not really one of those people. I don't really think I could handle kind of operating like an open forum and having to like moderate people and stuff like that, because there are some not very nice people on the internet, you know.
Yeah, Discord. It's one of the few platforms I haven't actually stuck my finger into. Discord. I really need to figure out what the hell's going on with Discord.
There's a whole scene that comes from it, and I think a lot of people do seem to break through into the scene through Discord, actually, which is great. It's a good resource. All of the servers and that's how you really meet artists in general in the scene, are not people who shut themselves away, and that they are people who will talk to you and will help you and engage with you and even work with you.
Speedcore Dave with an exclamation mark. Last night, a Bloot-Clotted ragga jungle techno DJ drugged me up with crisps. This is the VIP version. Dave is a bit of a geezer, isn't he?
Speedcore Dave, Snapchat Dave, that's what I called him once. But Dave, I met him in Bankface. I'd never actually spoken to him before until I met him at Bankface. I knew who he was, I knew about his Dancecore releases, but I met him at Bankface. I met him with Leon, with goreshit, and just a really fucking great guy. And he's really, he's done mastering work for me for certain releases and stuff like that. He's really not afraid to express himself. He's a furry. He uses his furry moniker and stuff like his appearance for his music, and I like that. It's very much like me with the use of anime and stuff like that. Like it's something that like I think a lot of people kind of think, oh, that's not something that you would traditionally use. It's something you'd use in breakcore a lot, but it reinforces that whole idea of like breakcore is very accommodating with kind of how you want to express yourself with that, and like, you know, there's been huge scenes, huge split offs and scenes and stuff like that, just based on like furry artists and anime artists, you know, people like that. He's a very interesting guy, and just in terms of how ingrained in this scene he is, and kind of how much influence he has, the amount of people he knows, and the people like people you'd be shocked to know like he's worked with them, and the things he knows as well. The things he knows. It's just he's a very well connected, very knowledgeable, very kind of holding things up kind of guy. Furries and anime fans are like controlling the scene in the background, you know what I mean? You know, Venetian Snares, he's got fuck all, he's got no power anymore.
And an absolute banger of a tune too, like lots of good changes in it, lots of Mashcore style, love it.
Apparently he synthesizes his bass kicks as well, he doesn't use like sample packs, so like, and the bass kicks in this are just incredible, and it blew me away. He's very gay as well, there's a lot of gay stuff in his music, which I love.
You obviously want to suck what a real man has, so get down on your knees and suck every last drop of my cum until my dick is drained. Now!
Harmful Logic, person I didn't know about until a while back. They're actually up in Drogheda in Ireland, making absolutely excellent music. I thought I knew everybody in Ireland that made breakcore, both of them, but now it's actually not 3 people now. I know of that make breakcore in Ireland.
That's very shocking how you know who I am, but you didn't know who Harmful Logic is. A huge name, actually. It's surprising. He's a very big name in a more kind of, I don't want to say mainstream kind of way, but he's kind of, you know, when people say breakcore, people will often say like...
Very wide net. When I say breakcore,
yeah, for us, but for like, there's kind of a revival going on with kind of with the new social medias, especially TikTok. A lot of breakcore gets played and recommended on TikTok, but often who will come up is like people like goreshit, Sewer Slut, who people don't like talking about anymore, and Harmful Logic. He's got that sound down that people like, and I really like. He's also very adaptive with his sound. He does a lot of just experimenting. He does, he's done like a Gabba track and stuff like that, but he's mainly known for this kind of sound. But he's also just very legit person. He's a very open person about like, he doesn't give a shit about like, you know, he loves anime. Especially recently, he's gotten more open about his gender identity as well. He's come out as using gender neutral pronouns and stuff like that, which is stuff like that. It does help the people listening, people who are going through those kinds of, you know, it's a very important thing to kind of to be able to relate to people. I was on about like I've not really been able to relate to people and all that, but it's like I've come to really understand how important it is for people to relate and to feel understood. This art that represents who they are in ways, and even in ways that aren't apparent when you listen to it, but just knowing who Harmful Logic is, knowing who like goreshit is while listening to their music, that's enough to kind of think like that adds a lot to the music and just that inherent kind of like, oh yeah, these are people who understand me and who are going through what I'm going through, which you don't get with people like Drake or whoever else is mainstream right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea who's mainstream. Dua Lipa?
I don't even know who that is.
A really hip young crowd.
Sickboy, theme to... Oh, these names, I can't read them at all.
Jurassickboys, because it's Sickboy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this was a release on Fucked Up. I'm actually going to release on Fucked Up with Sonny Shimoda. Jonathan from Fucked Up is probably the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. Really, really, really lovely guy. But Sickboy, I discover people who I wish I had discovered ages ago. I was quite late with Sickboy, but I just absolutely love them and their sound. They've got this specific gabba sound that I love, and like the mashup style and stuff like that. Stuff that I'm trying to kind of like, I feel like I'm kind of subconsciously replicating now in my sound. It's just like different decisions that they have with the production. There's stuff like, you know, just like the really very bassy kicks that they use. It gives it just this more, it's a more of a dance, like very traditionally dance kind of sound to it, which I love. It's not so much dancecore though, which that's actually, when you speed up this song, it sounds exactly like dancecore, and it's incredible.
Definitely sounds like it needs to be sped up and some hard kicks on it, and then it really sound beefy.
There was another song called Far, which I played in a set, and that's sped up because it uses the exact same kicks that like people like Annoying Ringtone, who's playing later, like they used. So it does sound exactly like what would have been played on like Dance Corps, which again I'll go into more.
You made a track with Sonny Shimoda, the Squat Party Sound Clash, which came out on Tough Shit. Free download, plug. Great tune, man. You ever thinking about going down sort of sound, or clashcore as I've heard people calling it?
What I wanted to mention about that is that that's actually what the Fucked Up Records release is going to be. It's called Sound Clash that we're releasing, and it's got Squat Party in it, and it's a collection of like our older collabs and then this new one that we've been working on. So I'm a very mashup guy in general. I'm very dedicated to mashing stuff up, mashcore, dancecore, and you know, sound clashy kind of. But especially with Shimoda, we've got this. We really understand each other and our sounds. And Shimoda, he will often send me sample material and saying how much it sounds like something I would sample. And I'll send him stuff because I know the type of stuff he samples, and we work together quite well with that and are able to meld our sounds together in that kind of way. I've known Shimoda for a very long time, I think since I've started Shoebill, but just after I started Shoebill in 2017, and we're still working together. And he's really solid. He's one of my best friends, yeah.
Yeah, support each other, come up with ideas together and cross-collaborate. And that tune as well is, I shouldn't say it, but it's one of my favourite releases on that release. Breakcore for Insomniacs for anyone looking for it, but yeah, it's a fantastic release. Love it. Love to hear more of it.
He is an incredibly talented person as well, I have to say, with Shimoda. He's incredibly talented. He does things I'm like, oh my god. His like project files, if you ever see a screenshot of his FL Studio project files, they are uncharted. They're fucking inhabitable. like looking at a rainforest, and like he does all modular stuff now, and he's just like, it's incredible the sounds he can make, and especially the sounds he can make from my sounds that I plunk down when we collaborate. Like he is often the one who fancies up my sound, if you will, when we collab.
Ones.
Oh man, this is just full on. I love it.
This is Crazy Mashcore Mafia, Children of the Night. This is the song I discovered when I discovered what the word Mashcore was, when I was looking up what Renard was. So Renard was the first introduction to the entire sound, but I didn't even know what breakcore was or what Mashcore or anything was. I just thought, oh, this is Renard. And then when I actually looked up Renard and I found the word Mashcore, I went onto YouTube as I usually did. This is how I discovered all of this, was for just YouTube. So I typed in Mashcore on YouTube, and the first thing that came up was Crazy Mashcore Mafia, and it was this song that I heard, and it's incredible, and I really it's got this incredible energy that I wasn't getting from Renard, and it just expanded me out to everything else that got me to where I am now. This is actually an alias of Loftchampcore from Splittercore Records, and I remember I asked Loftchampcore, I didn't know this, I asked Loftchampcore if he knew a way to contact Crazy Mashcore Mafia, and he said, well, it's me. And I felt really, really embarrassed, but we're actually working on a collab together now, a collab album, as him as Crazy Mashcore Mafia, which is, it's like he's only done tracks for compilations of the Crazy Mashcore Mafia, so this is kind of the first of an actual release. So it's quite a fucking honor, considering how influential he has been with Crazy Mashcore Mafia with me. So and I think that'll hype people up, because I think a lot of people did grow up with Crazy Mashcore Mafia as well, and having me alongside him will probably generate hype, I suppose, because people like me for some bizarre reason. I don't get that.
It's hard to fathom, isn't it? Why people like people. I think you just have to accept it for what it is, don't you?
It's been very strange, the messages I get from people who talk to me like I am a celebrity, which I don't regard myself as anything like that. I feel I'm just a knobhead, really, and I feel really weird and a bit egotistical at times when I kind of mention stuff like this, and I hate it. But it's really nice. It's really
when you finish your set and you go outside to chill out or whatever, and everyone's like, oh man, your set was amazing, it was really good. It does feel a bit weird sometimes, doesn't it? Because you were just doing your thing,
One of my friends, his name's Luke. The first time he met me, he gave me this big wide grin and was like, oh my god, it's you! And I was like, oh Christ. And he was like, oh my god, and he was talking to me, he's like, oh, the stuff you're doing, blah blah blah. Oh, it's so incredible to finally actually meet you. And I'm like, oh fuck, this is weird. This is very, very strange. I really do. I love when people do it, though. It's this feeling of oh wow, I'm actually making some kind of impact, rather than it being any kind of egotistical. I'm not an egotistical person. I hate myself, but it's really nice get compliments.
And as well, when you think about some people who are probably bigger than you or I combined in the music scene, who probably feel the same way we do. When you've got you put something out and you get 10,000 listens on it. Those people must be thinking, crikey, big time, I
don't know if I could handle shit like that. I've got tracks that are nearly 30,000 plays on SoundCloud, and they just accumulated over the years. But if I was getting shit like that, every time, I'd probably sabotage my career just to avoid that responsibility, because it's that is too much for me. I don't know how Leon can do it with just his size. He's that composed.
I think he just switched off, perhaps, and just let it happen, ignore it. That's the only way you can do it, I think. Because I think there's a concept, I don't know if you ever listened to the Blind Boy Folk Club from the Rubber Bandits. He does a podcast, and he talks a lot about mental health, and one of the things he talks about in that is to not look at positive praise or negative criticism, to just ignore it all. Because if someone says you're great, or if someone says you're shit, you have to value yourself for your own
I got hate mail yesterday on my YouTube channel.
Oh, that's always the best. I always find it funny. Go on, what'd you get?
Actually, just sounds like garbage ran through a lawnmower, which is fair.
Is that a compliment or a criticism?
I was really like thinking, should I reply just like thanks and give them a heart and all that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to come across like I'm being sarcastic though. I don't really want to be like that.
Oh, I'm super sarcastic. I fully endorse sarcasm.
I am a sarcastic person, but I try not to be like. I don't want to cause things with people at all. I've had like kind of a shitty growing up period of trying to like navigate who I am, and I was a very angry person in my teen years, and I would try and just start things with people all the time. But like I've grown past that, and I'm behind that. I don't believe in that kind of shit anymore. There's people who are just very kind of angry and very constantly trying to just cause things with people, and it's like I've just look at that now and Christ, what a life that is, to try and just be like that all the time. It's like people are like that all the time, and it's like, how can you be like that? It's exhausting. It's really like it exhausted me to the point where I just didn't want to be like that anymore. That's what happened.
Absolutely agree with you. Bob the Builder.
What I wanted to mention about this song was also like when you type in breakcore, like it's the 30-minute ADHD mix by Reizoko, and also like this song as well, because it's marked as breakcore. And what's interesting is that this was released on Dancecorp's records, as well as the Crazy Mashcore Mafia track before, which it was released on one of their comps. And what's interesting about that is that this person, Annoying Ringtone, let the Dancecore take control, which is playing right now. This is the owner of Dancecorp's. Annoying Ringtone was actually quite fortunate that he put the track list like this for this particular conversation. But Dancecorp's is the single-handedly most influential label to me, because that is where, again, like I got all this music through YouTube, listened to it through YouTube by looking up Mashcore, breakcore, looking up stuff like that. And the songs people upload to YouTube are songs from Dancecorp's releases. And these kind of what became the defining sound of like early 2000s breakcore and Mashcore. And like I've released on Dancecorp's when I was 19, and it's pretty much defunct now. But with Favicon, I tell people like I try and keep that energy that Dancecorp's had, and trying to keep it going through Favicon, which people are quite into. It seems people really like Dancecore still, and people really like. I've been called a Dancecore revivalist by certain people, and like, because I'm trying to like keep that sound, that classic Dancecore sound going. Dancecore is mainly defined as a type of mashcore that is it's basically keeping dance elements, gabba kicks and 4/4 beats and stuff like that. And it samples a lot of like Eurobeat stuff and Europop and like old 90s techno and stuff like that. But it's also just open to anything else as well, much like Mashcore is in general. So like I sample like a lot of like dance tunes, and then I'll just mix it with like a folk song or a punk song or something like that.
What's the difference between Dancecore and Nightcore? Is there a difference?
Well, Nightcore is typically you just speed it up and don't really do anything to it, but Dancecore is where you layer it with like the amens and the kicks and all. It's still like it's still Mashcore. It's basically just Mashcore, but it's more dance orientated to accommodate a dance floor. You know what I mean? A rave.
So you're saying Dancecore is more complex than Nightcore?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Nightcore, again, it's like people just put it in Audacity and speed it up, and that's it. You export that out, upload it. Again, with Dancecorp, with the label, that's where like goreshit originated. Kind of, well, I didn't originate it from it, but that's where he got a lot of his footing from. This song by Reizoko CJ was also released on Dancecorp. Reizoko CJ got his start on Dancecorp as well. Fat Frumos, One Bushi released on it, people like that. And you know, these are people who are all like the main people in the scene now. You know what I mean?
Reizoko CJ, absolute legend. I love the guy. He makes such amazing music.
You interviewed him?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, about 5 years ago. Yeah, well, 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. God knows how long ago that was. But yeah, it's the complexity he puts in all of his tracks, and you just like hear that sound, and you'll hear it once, and then you won't hear it again. And it's crazy.
The micro samples. This song, which like the first track by goreshit, this was also a friend of mine in school. This is what I grew up on in school. And this is one of those songs that kind of give me that space of feeling understood slightly by, at this period of school was a nightmare, as you can imagine, for someone like me. School is always a nightmare for autistic people, and I get quite annoyed. I get quite passionate when I talk about school, and I talk about how there needs to be a reform of how schools are done, because it traumatizes, effectively traumatizes neurodivergent kids, and it completely ruins them growing up. This song, like, I was bullied in school. I had this, that, and I was a strange kid. I was a strange person, and people didn't like me. But this song was kind of that escape and kind of feeling like, oh yeah, this fucking weirdos out there who are just like me. So it gave me that space again to just feel a bit understood. When he came online for like a very brief minute on Facebook, I sent him a message just saying like that's what he did for me growing up. And he read it. He didn't reply to it though, because I think he just fucked off. He must have got hundreds of messages coming online.
The finest ingredients are right in the mix.
He was living in Donetsk in Ukraine, and then Russia invaded, and I believe his house got destroyed, and he had to move. And I think, the music, unfortunately, he just stopped doing it. And obviously, you've got to take life, limb, family, all that sort of stuff is way more important than music. But then I think that's why he's basically dropped off the scene since 2016 or something like that. Big shame. But he does resurface every now and again.
Yeah, he just comes on and he's just like, hi, and then he gets off.
That's good to know he's still alive and he's still out there.
DJKurara? Amen, Religionist. This is probably the most influential song ever. It's probably the best song ever made, in fact. DJKurara, I was listening to him growing up as well, and he is the single-handedly why my sound is kind of the way it is, and stuff like that. As well as obviously all the other influences I've had, but he absolutely redefined how I was going to approach music. And this track in particular, like, I regard it as like one of the most Shoebill sounding, like, raised, like, tracks that isn't mine, in just like its production and its energy, which is something that I always try and go for. It's this really, really upbeat. It samples Pink, and it's got this like really fucking thumpy bass to it. This really offbeat bass that like really, like, you feel it kind of thing. Like, you can feel it in the headphones and stuff, and it just adds that momentum, and I love it. It's just one of my favorite songs ever made.
Straight up question, Shoebill, where did the name come from? Shoebill, what's the origin?
I regret the name now. I don't really like the name. I wish I had something cooler, but fuck it. It's stuck now. It's an African stork. It's a famous stork in the way it looks. It's a very disturbing looking bird. It's got a big bill that resembles a shoe, so it's called a shoebill. And during about 2016, there was an anime called Kimono Friends, which was African animals as anime girls, as you can naturally expect. And one of them was a Shoebill character in it. But I remember a friend of mine, Minogame, who is a producer. He's a big fan of Kimono Friends, and he was going to do a compilation of it, of like music inspired by it. So I started Shoebill and took the name of that, the Shoebill character. I never ended up doing anything for that compilation, but I ended up like, it's quite interesting because I started Shoebill thinking I was going to try and be a bit serious and do some IDM stuff, and that just completely fell through. But that's really where I got the name from. I don't know why. I thought the name was like, ooh, it's cool and it's a bit weird and IDM-y, and you'd expect on like on Planet Moo or something, and then I didn't do any of that. I don't know what I would go for now. I don't know what name I'd do. I always struggle with like coming up with cool names, hence why I'm called Shoebill. But it's a confusing. I'm sure it's a very confusing name. People think my name's Bill, like they assume that and stuff like that. It's just a weird name, and I'm a bit weirded when people say it, but it's one I just get used to it.
Shit, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, man. It's cool.
Honestly, yeah. At the very least, my previous alias was called Lacerate with a number 8, so I suppose, you know.
It's original. You've got to give you that, right? I mean, that's the best thing in that sort of music is be original, right? You see these people that call themselves Death Crusher and all that sort of stuff. It's like, oh, right, really? That's a great name. Well done. And last but not least, Divtech, teenage boys loving teenage music, loving teenagers' moms. Wow, what a title, what a tune. Put it last, because it's probably the craziest one of the whole lot.
Divtech themselves are a very, very, very lovely person. I've spoken to them a few times. I actually spoke to them for the interview, asking if they were neurodivergent. They got back to me saying that they might be, but they don't consider themselves it, which is fair enough. But they're a very interesting person in general. They're a very active anarchist punk, very vagabond. They travel in like a van, I believe, and they don't stay where they are, kind of thing. They're always moving, and they get involved in a lot of just political activism. It's really inspiring, and I was saying to them kind of how inspiring it is to me, because I want to try, especially with this interview, I do want to try and give a bit of exposure to what I believe in and what I think is important, which is what they do. Most of their music is mainly like sampling metal and grindcore and stuff like that, but my favourite songs by them are the ones that sample pop punk. They sample obviously Sum 41, they sample Paramore, and other like pop punk bands, and just bands with this kind of this kind of sound more so than obviously just like very grindcore kind of stuff. And I love that. And much like with Foxdye and a bit of Reizoko CJ, their cut-up style was also what heavily inspired me, and it's inspired my Amen Punk sound alongside Aaron Spectre. I take a lot of Aaron Spectre and Divtech inspiration, as well as Sonny Shimoda. Sonny Shimoda is heavily inspired by Divtech as well, and we do a lot of music that is kind of in homage to their sound, kind of pastiche, as well as all just other influences. We all just run on influences, really. Just suppose everyone is.
Everyone stands on the shoulders of giants, don't they? I mean, everyone's influenced by what came before. Always the way. So, Shoebill, mate, we've come to the end of that. A fantastic little showcase of a load of crazy rave music, which I always love, and great chat. So thanks for taking the time for taking the call.
It was a bit lovely. This has been the first kind of proper interview regarding my music, so it's been very nice.
Excellent. And just for clarity and for the sake of the recording as well, the people you're speaking about and the things you've spoken about, do they even know you're going to talk about it, or it's common knowledge for all the various different people and the things you've spoken about today?
Indeed. I'm sorry if I did, by any chance, misrepresent anyone, though. But yeah, I tried my best not to. If anyone has any complaints, forward them to my inbox.
That's cool. We're all good in the hood. Well, cheers, mate. I hope we'll see you sometime in May 2022 in sunny old Southport.
Yes, for a particular event, for whatever they might be. Yeah, who knows?
Until I see you again, mate. Have a good day. Thanks a lot now. Bye.
Goodbye. Till next time we speak.